Hi everybody, John here for JPTV with weekend news roundup for week number 41. There's a lot of stories to get through this weekend, so let's get cracking straight on with it. Disclaimer, by the way, guys, I've got a bit of a cold, so if I'm sounding nasally, apologies, but I'm doing everything. I've got loads of Satsumas on the go at the moment. You know, I've got Vicks, I've got Strepsils, I've got the works. I've got a new light working. So let me know how this looks. If you think this looks better than the previous videos, let me know. If you think it looks worse, let me know. I will be doing a video about the new light, but as I say, we've got a lot of stories to get on with, so let's crack on straight with it. A mother and daughter, who are part of the UK's first all-female terror cell, have been jailed over a planned knife attack near the Houses of Parliament. Now, as everybody can remember that story when I reported it a few weeks ago, Rislani Boer, 22, who was to carry out the Islamic State-inspired attack, was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 16 years. Her mother, Mina Deitch, 44, has been given 6 years and 9 months at the Old Bailey for helping her daughter. The London pair pleaded guilty to the preparation of terrorist acts. The court heard that Ditch drove her daughter around Westminster on reconnaissance missions scouting targets. The two later went to a branch of Sainsbury's to buy knives. Now, I'm glad that these people have got their recompense, and it's these two people, right? Well, they're not people. They're not even human beings. These two living entities are British. So Christ knows what has happened here. You know, I don't get it. I don't get their thinking in any shape or form. It shouldn't happen. We shouldn't be having people like this doing these sort of attacks on the country. You know, it's just, I get the pissed off with the world, but so am I. This is the whole reason why I'm doing these videos. Yeah, to put my message out there, to try and get some rebalance of good news and everything on there. So, in scenes that would have seemed impossible a few days ago, members of the Afghan Taliban have been embracing Afghan security forces amid a 3-day ceasefire called to mark the celebration of Eid. President Ashraf Ghani has extended the government ceasefire and called on the Taliban to do the same, which, for all extensive purposes, seems to have happened. The government has also released some Taliban militants from jail. However, but 20 people died in a suicide attack on one gathering of Taliban and government officials in Nangarhar. Now, as I say, you know, it's just, I picked out those two stories because just to show that there is some mutual respect within the Taliban groups and within the Afghan groups, just because at the end of the day, they're both Muslim, they're both celebrating the national holiday or whatever it is. You know, it's a remarkable thing that, you know, it just goes to prove to me that there's more to what's going on than meets the eye with these people, because at the end of the day, they don't want to be shown as idiots, which they are for doing what they're doing. But I don't know, it's weird, you know. But it's good in the same way that the people are taking the time out to think about what they're doing, and to think about the impact they're doing, and obviously embracing the fact, literally hugging each other, but embracing the fact that these people are exactly the same on either side. So I'm hoping this is going to be like in the First World War with the Christmas of, was it 1915, 1916? Where the Germans and the English caused a ceasefire, played football on Christmas Day. You know, that's a brilliant story. It's the same sort of thing, in my opinion, and it's good to see that people are doing that. Now, as you'll see from previous videos that I've talked about, the little kid who has had lobbies for medical cannabis oil in order to look after himself for his epilepsy. The Caldwell family have been through a ringer a lot this week. I didn't report it in the midweek because the story hadn't concluded yet. The story literally concluded yesterday. I'm a bit angry with the BBC on how they reported this, which I'll go into in a moment. But as I say, the story itself is Billy Caldwell. More specifically, his mum. She went over to she went over to Canada to get the medication for him, which contains a illegal substance, which makes the whole serum itself illegal, but I go into it now. The BBC mentioned that, but didn't mention what the chemical within the serum is that makes it illegal. So I'm really furious about that. Absolutely furious. We're supposed to be having full transparency with this. The BBC aren't doing that. ITV went into the detail, but the BBC didn't. So basically, the mum, as I said, she went and got her. She went and got the items, trying to get it through customs because the NHS were no longer prescribing it, probably went out of funding or political problems, who knows. But that happened. So the problems went ahead and she basically got the liquid confiscated from customs. And then she took matters into her own hands and lobbied for this to come back. The appeal was turned down by the Home Office. But the new Home Secretary gave them the right to do so, because basically Sajid Javid, as I say, the new Home Secretary, was told by many consultants that this was a medical emergency for this kid, because when medication was stopped, within 4 days, this kid who was suffering with epilepsy was back in hospital without this medication. Billy's mother, Charlotte Caldwell from County Tyrone, had said they achieved the impossible, but she also called for the oil to be freely available. Billy began using cannabis oil in 2016 to control his seizures. So, this is 2 years, give or take a few months, 2 years of him having this medication. Billy Caldwell's mother said, "I truly believe that somewhere in the Home Office there's someone with a heart, and I truly believe that Billy was pulling on their heartstrings." It's a great thing. Absolutely superb thing that this has happened. I've talked about CBD oil, which is what I'm using, a very, very, very diluted version of what Billy is taking. It's a great thing for me. It's been a great thing for other people. I even know people that are up within the NHS that know people that are taking it, and it's not illegal, but it's in its current form. The only real reason why cannabis is illegal is because it hasn't been taxed yet. Alcohol kills more people than cannabis does, yet that's a nice taxable drug. Smoking kills more people than cannabis does, yet that is also a nice taxable drug. Yes, it brings in loads of millions of pounds worth of money into the NHS, but there needs to be something here. CBD oil is not a drastically proven source of medication in any shape or form, but it does help, depending on the quantities of the amount of cannabis within it, and depending on the usage, it doesn't always, but it can have some very, very good effect on people. That I take the oil, I get a great night's sleep. For me, it's a nice relaxant. I know friends that are taking that medication in a very much stronger dosage than I do, but it does them the world of good, literally the world of good. Friends of mine that are taking it are not suffering with pain anymore. And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Okay, there are the side effects that it can cause depression, but it also can cure depression, again, dependent on the quantities that are being used. It can cause other physical conditions. I can't remember. It can be a diuretic, again, if you use the wrong quantities. That's all it is. That's the thing. That's what people need to be mindful of. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned about the abortion resolution that was in the Republic of Ireland, and how that is bringing the country up to more modern standards in terms of decision making for women, in terms of gestation periods, and when the conditions are life-threatening. And also today, well, not today, but in the last couple of days, Sinn Féin delegates have voted to change the party's position on abortion at a conference in Belfast. If I remember correctly, this occurred on Thursday, Friday. Members comprehensively backed a leadership motion stating that women should have access to abortions within a limited gestational period. The party can now support a law due to be brought before Irish Parliament, which is expected to allow abortions within the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. So basically, as I said, it's bringing it in line with the rest of the Western world in terms of, you know, because it's the same thing in the UK. I think it's the same thing in the States as well. But it's progress. It really is progress for Sinn Féin. Now, bearing in mind, Sinn Féin is a very violent history as a party, you know, because of what was happening with the Northern Ireland and everything. But they are slowly but surely coming around to being a lot more neutral, shall we say. There's still a lot of people within Sinn Féin that don't agree with this bill, but it wasn't as unanimous as it's being reported. There was still quite a few people that really don't like it, but they have to actually just get on with it, let themselves go. You know, just this is the way that the world is now, and therefore, as a result, you need to just buck your ideas up and accept it for what it is. Over the last few weeks, I've been reporting about the problems on the train service. Now, it came out on Friday that the boss of Govia Thameslink Railway, GTR, has stepped down. Well, it's basically to step down if he hasn't already over the last couple of days. Passengers, as everybody knows, passengers have been forced into major disruptions as hundreds of trains were cancelled over the last couple of weeks. Probably just week by week, there's hundreds of them being cancelled. Following the introduction of the new timetable, if you want to go and see what I previously reported about those train services, go and see the previous videos. The RMT have said that the rotten franchise he was steering still remains in place. And announcing his resignation, Mr. Horton said, "I recognise that passengers have been hugely frustrated," that's a massive understatement, "at the significant disruption caused by the introduction of new timetables. It is the right time to hand leadership of GTR to a new pair of hands." GTR, which is Britain's largest rail franchise, changed the timetable on the 20th of May. So it's been 4 weeks basically since this has happened, and it's been nothing but chaos. I mean, my boss is repeatedly coming in angry. We're getting very sarcastic emails about it, saying that he's coming in late, and completely understandable reasons. There needs to be more transparency when it comes to this story. It really does. I'm hoping that whoever takes over from this pillock is in a position that is able to physically put in better service, get more trains available, more drivers available. I know it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to come in Monday morning and say, right, I found 20,000 new drivers that we're going to need to employ over the year. It's not going to happen. But as I say, it's just. This is making progress, people, and it's a very good thing. As you might have seen over the last few days, Glasgow's School of Art has been set fire to again for the second time in the last 4 years. The problem is with this fire is it just went out of control very quickly. So obviously the rebuilding that was been going on to the MAC since the last fire has been mostly wood, otherwise it wouldn't have gone up as quickly as it has done. And the fire also did spread over to the adjacent buildings as well. So firefighters were brilliant in Scotland. If anybody in Scotland is watching this and you were involved in it, my hands off to you. I absolutely applaud you. There was at one point, there was about 250 firefighters, I think, 250, 300 that were involved in sorting the blaze out. Nicola Sturgeon, who I'm not a big fan of, but she's come out with a human being angle for a change, has described the fire as heartbreaking. Flames ripped through the celebrated Macintosh building after it caught fire about 11:20 on Friday night. The blaze spread to nearby buildings, as I mentioned, including the campus nightclub and the O2 ABC music venue, but fortunately nobody was reported as injured. Firefighters said it was too early to comment on the cause of the blaze, but Ms. Sturgeon said the fire has been a devastating blaze, much worse than the one that took hold of the Macintosh building 4 years ago. The damage is severe and extensive. My heart goes out to everybody associated with the art school. Now, as I said, it's clear the cost cutting has happened here because of it. They wouldn't have gone up so quickly if it wasn't all pretty much wood. And as I say, I just really hope that they can speed up the fix of it, find out what the real cause is, figure it out. It's 90% either an insurance job or arson. It's going to be one of the two, or possibly both. But we'll find out in the coming days, hopefully. Now, as everyone may remember, I did report on Oxfam and the stupidity that was happening that came out a few months ago in relation to the Haiti workers that were over there. And as a result of what happened, that public thing that came out, where are we, 6-7 months ago? A little bit late, or maybe the end of summer last year. Oxfam is to make a cut of £16 million because of reduced funding in the wake of the Haiti sex scandal. As I reported previously, the charity was accused of covering up the problems of the sex claims that staff sexually abused and exploited female victims of the 2010 earthquake. So this has been going on for the last 8 years, basically. After the scandal, it emerged thousands of people stopped making regular donations, and the government suspended its funding to the charity. 100%. Of course, it's not a charity above ill repute anymore. It's a very ill-reputed company. An Oxfam statement said it was devastated that it would have to reduce some of its aid programs. However, it did say that it would target head offices and support functions to ensure that the majority of its work on the ground would still continue. Now, as I said, this is a handful of people 7-8 years ago that has caused this massive cutback. Their stupidity has caused loads of people to lose their jobs. If you guys are watching this from Oxfam, I hope you sleep well, because if it was me, I wouldn't be doing these things anyway. But if it was me causing this amount of problems that is causing hundreds if not thousands of people to lose their jobs, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I seriously would not be able to sleep at night. I hope you guys are, because you're going to get your comeuppance at some point. It's going to be found out. You're never going to work again. You're certainly not going to work anywhere close to people again. So I hope it was worth it. US President Donald Trump is to impose 25% tariffs on $50 billion worth of Chinese goods, accusing Beijing of intellectual copyright theft. These tariffs would affect more than 800 products worth $34 billion in annual trade are due to come into effect in the 6th of July. So basically, where are we? That's going to be 3 weeks from now. The White House said it would consult on tariffs on the other $16 billion worth of products and would apply these later. The funny thing is that China retaliated when this news came out and said the following, that they would impose an additional 25% tariff on 659 billion US goods, 659 goods worth $50 billion. So basically, it's not going to make any difference. It's really not going to make any difference to this. They're going to put themselves on 25% extra money, whereas Beijing and China are going to charge the US 25% extra to get the same things in. So it's going to completely rule it out. It's one of the funniest stories I've seen. It really is funny. It'll be interesting to see where the story goes, because I really don't think this is going to last very long. I really don't. But as I say, we'll see where the story goes. But for Donald Trump, just again, when he's covering himself in glory, trying to sort out the North Korea situation out, which he has done. Bearing in mind, as I said last week, midweek after the summit, that that this time last year they were both threatening nuclear war on the respective countries, and now that's all sorted out relatively. And now, as I say, Donald Trump is posing and turning on China, so he's going round country by country. So this will be interesting to see what happens with this. Oh, what a bellend. And finally, but no means least, people over 40 in England will be given advice on dementia as part of their free NHS health check. Guidance on how to reduce the risk of dementia will be given to patients at GP surgeries and through community health programmes. The Public Health of England said that up to 1/3 of dementia cases could be improved through lifestyle changes. But it says 28% of people have no awareness of the risk factors. I mean, I personally don't. I haven't seen what can do, and only 2% know what they can do to reduce them. The planned rollout follows a small pilot conducted by the Public Health of England with the help of Alzheimer's Research UK and the Alzheimer's Society, which led to both charities calling for it to become mandatory. Now, I think this is a great idea. My gran had Alzheimer's and it was unnerving when I was a kid. There's a very, very good chance it's going down each individual generation. But we'll see what happens with this. But as I say, this is a fantastic thing for the NHS to do, because a lot of public awareness has come on about this condition recently, and I think this is a fantastic thing for them to do. As I said, just purely to get it more out there for people, because in a couple of years I'm going to get this. From what I understand, this is going to be rolled out. You're going to have, I think it's quarterly updates. I think it's once a year, once or 2 or 3 years, something like that. To see that you're having this advice on hand, and it's going to change. It's going to be dietary. It's going to be events. It's going to be review of your social life, your work life. Just to try and stop things that can cause it just by changing your routine and changing what you do in your everyday life. So again, as I say, I think this is a great idea. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate this has been a long video, but there's been a lot to talk about, and there's been a lot of catch-ups as well. If you're new around here and you like what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button. And please also hit the notification bell so you get first dibs on when the videos are available. If you like the video and you feel I deserve it, please click the like button. Please feel free to share the video as well with anybody that you think would be wanting to watch it. And please also put your comments down on these subjects. I mean, do you feel any of this stuff is right? That what's going on with excuse me, with the Caldwell family and the cannabis oil? Do you feel that it's right that it's only now that the head of the GTR has resigned? Do you think that should have happened in the first week? Let me know your thoughts, people. This channel is here for you as well as it is for me, because without you and your comments and your likes and your subscribes and your shares, I can't really do this channel, because I'm doing this for your benefits. I'm loving doing the videos, but this is for you, for everybody to get a snapshot of what the important things in life are, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that people will actually take more solace from this. So in the meantime, thank you much for watching. I hope I haven't been too nasally through this video, and I wish you all the best. You enjoy the rest of your weekend, and you take care.